Hey, what's up guys? My name is Anshul and today in this video I want to talk about 5 reasons that make the iPhone 14 Pro Max a better device than the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now, we all know that the iPhone 14 Pro Max had a rough journey for the iPhone counterpart, but the iOS 17 made this device a lot more competitive when compared to the Android counterparts. Believe me or no, I feel like the iPhone 14 Pro or the iPhone 14 Pro Max are like the demo phones that are being released to the wide public so that the dynamic island can be perfected for the iPhone 15 or the iPhone 14 Pro Max in the later year. But here, Apple makes the best smartphones still in the market, and here are the 5 reasons that I would say that how the iPhone 14 Pro Max has completely destroyed the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra in this competition. Now, the first things first, the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a brighter display, and that is something that I want to start this video with. Well, no doubt, Samsung makes the best displays, but what the iPhone 14 Pro Max is tuned for is 2000 nits of peak brightness, that is 250 nits more than the 1750 nits of peak brightness on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. But here, does this make a lot of difference in the direct sunlight? Hell no. But here, still, I would say I use both the smartphone in my day-to-day life, and I use the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra directly in comparison to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I can see the general difference, and it does make a lot of sense to say that yes, the quality of the display, the peak brightness and the color accuracy on the iPhone 14 Pro Max is way much more than the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. The thing is that Samsung could have just not saved some extra money on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra and has given us a better display to start with. The difference is minor, but a win is a win, and I say that iPhone with no doubts is a clear winner in this scenario. Now, the second thing that I noticed on the iPhone 14 Pro Max is that Apple has improved their 48 megapixel unit to get better results. Now, this was not the case when the iPhone 14 Pro Max was released, but this is the point, right? With each new update on the iPhones, you get the improvements, and this time I could say that the iPhone 14 Pro Max had some big improvement in the terms of the camera software update. Now, you also have an extra setting in the iPhone camera application where it lets you choose some photographic styles. Now, it can range from a standard to a rich contrast or a vibrant one, or you can choose between warm and cool tones, whatever is your preference. I used to set it to a rich contrast, but then I realized that the vibrant mode is much more better, and even with that vibrant mode, it does not lose on how real that image looks in comparison to what this iPhone 14 Pro Max is taking. Now, this does not mean that the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra does not have a great camera hardware. It is a very good one, and the output under the direct sunlight with great exposure is great on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. But iPhone did correct things, and it is slightly more better right now as of the new camera software updates on the iOS 17, and that is the beauty of long supported updates on the iPhones versus the Samsung, which brings me to our next point. Yes, you guessed it right. I want to talk about the software support on the iPhone 14 Pro Max versus what we have on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now, we all know that the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, in comparison to the Pixel smartphone, they come with a long support of 4 years, but we know that down the road the new features won't be carried and the updates will be delayed. That is classic Samsung, delaying the software updates to about 10 months of actual release of the Android version update. This is not the case with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. You know that every September there will be a major software release, and you can use the same software a few months ago in the terms of beta software. And not even that, as every month passes by, you will see some new software version updates on your iPhones, and also with the latest iOS 16, you have a separate feature that pulls in just the latest security updates. They call it the rapid security response for iOS, and I think that it is a great addition. With this new feature, I would say that the gap between the software updates is even more if we do the iPhone 14 Pro Max versus the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra comparison. Now, on to the fourth thing that wins me over on this iPhone 14 Pro Max is the inclusion of the iMessaging feature, and you all knew that this one over here was coming. Now, every time I pick up the Samsung smartphone, I am so confused about the 2 messaging applications to start with, and even if I open the correct one, I am not very convinced. Apple iMessage is much more advanced. It is easy to find and use gifts, and you can even make your own stickers with your own photographs. You can even get live updates of someone approaching you and get notified if that person has not reached on time. You know that you have a dozen of applications just built for the iMessaging application, just like the Google Photos, Flight Delta, Myntra, YouTube, and much more. It is fun to use iMessage and makes me choose the iPhone 14 Pro Max every time over here. It synchronizes perfectly with my iPad and my MacBook Pro 16 inches, the M1, not the M2 one, and I wish that I had the Apple Watch to make it synchronize with it as well. So yes, this one over here is a win-win for me in comparison to the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now on to the fifth and the last thing that I want to talk about is a very important one, because it is about the resale value on the iPhone 14 Pro Max versus what you would have with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra down the road. Now, I am a sucker for the new flagship smartphones, and every time when there is a new smartphone in the market, the flagship one, I would be ready to buy that one, and I would want to compare both of them. Now, the thing is that whenever you sell in your old Samsung smartphone, you do not just get enough value, and the value just drops down to more than 50% on the Samsung smartphones. But if you compare that same thing with the iPhone counterpart, you may get like 60% of the value of the smartphone, and I'm not even talking about selling these smartphones directly to Apple and Samsung. Mostly, I sell my smartphone on the Facebook marketplace, and I have seen when I had the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, it sold for not more than $800, and I purchased that phone for like $1,850 or something, including Canadian taxes. So this is a huge difference that I wanted to discuss in this video. So if you want to buy a new smartphone right now, and if you want to buy the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, my major letdown is that this one over here will not give you a good resale value in comparison to what you would get with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Well, now there are a lot of other reasons to choose the iPhone 14 Pro Max in comparison to the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, just like better build quality, better materials, better CPU, better GPU, and much more to talk about in this video. But over here, I just want to talk about the top 5 things that make the iPhone 14 Pro Max way much better device than the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. So yes, that was all about this video. My name is Aishul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.